What's up, family? It's your girl, Tezlyn Figaro. I need you to lean in on this. On May 25th, 2020, the day after George Floyd was murdered, I walked into his family's house in Houston, myself and Attorney Crump and our entire legal team, and met the family. The entire country, even the world, was on fire after what happened. In my lifetime, and many of your lifetime, I'd never seen anything like it. Not just in America, but literally all over the world, people were saying his name. We marched in Washington during a pandemic. Everyone said, "You're risking your life. Why are you marching during a time such as this?" I believe that the risk was worth the fight. I stood on the stage in Virginia with George Floyd's family and said, "I'm willing to die for the cause." And I believed it. And I did that regardless of who would be standing with me today. I meant what I said when I said it. This is why I'm constantly telling you that when you say something, you better mean it. Because there may become a time and a place that you'll find yourself standing alone. I actually call it the consequences of consciousness. So I said that because I actually believed that it was not a moment, but a movement. Rappers were making songs, T-shirts, mugs. I kind of believed it. I felt there was something that was happening that was shifting the atmosphere, that we would have the energy at least to continue on for the next 10, 15 years, the way people were screaming and yelling and in the streets, laying their body down to demand justice. Now, since the murder of George Floyd, over 100 cities have enacted some level of police reform. Now, Democrats did a terrible job, if I'm being honest, they did a terrible job of marketing this because many of you said nothing ever happened. I actually named this in the Netflix documentary Civil. I talked about how individual cities made a difference. Cities like Houston, George Floyd's home, that reversed chokeholds, little policies that added up and made a difference. Well, on yesterday, I was in Houston. I was a keynote speaker with George Floyd's cousin, Sarita McGee, in 3rd Ward. I had to challenge the people in the room on what happened to the motivation that many of us believed in 2020. And you may be saying, Tezlyn, well, what do you mean? We still say George Floyd. Well, let me tell you what happened on Wednesday that many of you are not talking about because, again, we're so focused on everything else, we are not paying attention to what is actually happening to our country. On Wednesday, the U.S. Department of Justice said that it is moving to drop police reform agreements known as consent decrees that the Biden-era department reached with cities of Louisville, Breonna Taylor, Louisville, Kentucky, and Minneapolis, where George Floyd was murdered. The court enforceable agreements were born out of probes that were launched after the 2020 police killings of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. The agreements with Minneapolis and Louisville, which were intended to address allegations of systematic, unconstitutional policing and civil rights violations that were being held up in federal court, have faced several delays. Now, what many of you don't know, that be talking in the comments that say it's all about the money and, the families just want the money and what's actually happening. What you don't know is that while we are negotiating the civil side, we include policy that we demand that they enact. And Minneapolis created some of the most progressive police reform policy that we ever seen in this country. And on Wednesday, we went backwards. This is not talk, this is action. They actually went backwards. Trump administration Assistant Attorney General Civil Rights, Ms. Delon, said that she finds it interesting that we decided to expose this during the same week that George Floyd was murdered. She said that it was just a coincidence. Well, I got news for you. It wasn't just about the court proceeding. It was about purpose. It was divine that it happened the same week that he was murdered, hopefully to wake you up and shake you up, to let you know that it was by no coincidence that the dates just happened to fall on the same week that he was murdered, to reverse the policy. She also argued that bringing individual prosecution against cops who are engaged in wrongdoing is more effective than addressing misconduct. Let me say it again because you didn't get it. She said that it's more effective to just bring them to court and don't worry about the misconduct. Let's just catch them in the act. In other words, once they put their knee on somebody's neck, let's just bring them to court. Well, let me remind you, family, that if we are not investigating the misconduct, then we have nothing to stand on for the prosecution. What do you mean, Tezlyn? Well, what I mean is George Floyd's murderer, Derek Chauvin, had 18 complaints on his official record of misconduct. Had there been a better investigation, had there been more probing, had there been more eyes on what he was actually doing, perhaps his knee would have not been on George Floyd's neck. The Department of Justice said that they are planning to close its investigations in police departments in Phoenix, Trenton, New Jersey, Memphis, Tennessee, Mount Vernon, New York, Oklahoma City, and Louisiana. The department said it will be retracting findings. Let me paraphrase it to you. I am the hood whisperer. I mean, we're going to take back whatever we found that was released during the Biden administration and wipe it clean. So what do we do now? Because I know many of you are sitting there and saying, well, Tezlyn, what can we do? Trump is in charge. Well, I want to give you what you can do. I know the Trump administration is in charge of the federal government. I know you say you over it. I know you saying where them fans at, boots on the ground, you resting, I get it. But I want to remind you that you don't never let nobody come to your house and tell you what you can and cannot do in your house. And I'm talking about on the local and the state level. I want to remind you, like I always do, to push the line politics until something happens. This is your moment to find what that something is. Let the federal government do what they do. We can't change that. But your local government is where it matters. Your state government is what matters. Minneapolis, can I remind you that Minneapolis is in Minnesota? And right now, as of 2025, the state House of Representatives is evenly split between Democrats and Republicans. So I'm just going to leave the challenge to you. Was it a moment or was it a movement? Many of you are resting. I get it. I know you're tired. But this message goes to those who give a damn about if George Floyd will continue to rest in peace. Like I always say, use it, lose it, can't make you choose it. I got news for you. They choosing you whether you choose it or not. The choice is yours.